Hello, everyone. My name is Gang Hua. I'm currently working for Wormpex AI Research, which is the research branch of BNE Phone. I would like to thank the organizers, especially Mike, for inviting me to give this talk. Today, I hope to share with you some of my thinking about one's research career and one's job career from an industry perspective. I will first illustrate a little bit about what I'm doing at BNE Phone, which will introduce my first thought about what is the killer application of computer vision in industry going forward. Wormpex AI Research is the research branch of BNE Phone, which is established in December 2018. To date, our teams span across Bellevue in the States and Beijing and Shanghai in China. Just a little information about what is BNE Phone's business. We are a newly established convenience store chain in China. To date, we not only own thousands of stores, but also our own manufacturers and warehouses. Recently, we even started our own farms to grow freshes. Just to give you a sense about how our business is growing. In 2017, marking the first year we started our stores, we opened up about 200 stores in Beijing. Then in the second year, in 2018, we added another 600 stores, span several major cities, including Shanghai, Tianjin, and Nanjing. In 2019, the number of our stores further grew to nearly 1,800 in over 10 cities. In the past 2 years, despite the pandemic, our year-end goal towards 2021 is to reach like 4,000 stores. With our business growing like this, there is an urgent quest for us to digitize the whole operation decision process of our store chains. You may wonder why. The reason is simple. If we keep relying on human to make operation decisions, we simply wouldn't be able to recruit and train sufficient number of qualified storefront managers to run our stores. Let's pull back a little bit and put this into a larger context. We all know that in the past 20 years, internet has been the source of power to create a business success. One of the main reasons is that the internet forms a big digital world, and all data are stored in this digital world in digital format. This makes algorithmic-driven digital decision to be super convenient, and the subsequent digital operations further feed data back to this digital world to form a closed loop. When we talk about brick and mortar convenience stores, the story is totally different because these stores are physical stores. So all information resides in the physical world. In order to enable digital decision, the first step for us to fulfill is to digitize the information in the physical world and transform it into the digital world. Then we could continue making digital decisions, but we need to factor these digital decisions again back to the physical world in order to get changes really back to the physical world. We believe these several parts are roughly corresponding to 3 components in the AI system, which is the perception, cognition, and manipulation part of the AI system. we believe computer vision is going to play a key role in the digitization process. You may wonder why. The reason is simple. Camera is the only source of generic IoT sensors you may think of. Of course, to make it work, we need very strong AI models or algorithms to digest the information from the physical world. And it is very cheap, okay? It can almost fulfill any tasks you want it to be. And last but not least, with image and video sources, it provides a natural source for human operators to be able to audit the results from the algorithms, because we all know that the computer vision algorithms is not perfect. Since our operation loop still engages human, so I often regard this whole operating process as a co-robotic system. In summary, what I view would be the killer application of computer vision. I think it is to digitize the physical world in different industry business domains to enable digital productivity transformation. Okay, so that's why I picked up a convenience store chains as a vertical, a business vertical to work on, because the environment is big enough, well controlled enough. So next, I'm going to briefly talk about what I hope to share next in the rest of my talk, okay? The rest of my talk will be mainly divided into three parts. In the first part, I will briefly summarize the relation and the difference between your research career and your job career, because they are not the same. They are two parallel paths, but they are intervening with each other, okay? Then next, I'm going to strengthen some of the opinions I made in the first part and talk a little bit more about the relation and difference between industrial research and academic research, okay? Last but not least, I'm going to talk a little bit about you and your home research community, because I believe establishing a home research community is a very important factor for you to establish a good research career. First, let's get a high-level comparison of your research career and your job career. Before we get into that, let's briefly talk about why we now have this issue about your research career and your job career. Historically, we know that PhDs are actually trained for academia, okay? If you work in academia, like the jobs are mainly in universities and federal and state research labs. Your research career actually is perfectly aligned with your job career, okay? Because you are valued by your research career in these jobs. But we know that more and more universities now are opening up their PhD programs. That means we are producing more and more PhDs nowadays, and the academic job market simply cannot hold all its newly freshly graduated PhDs. So later on, you see in industries, in those companies, like big companies, they have a lot of money, they set up industrial research labs, okay? So this opened up opportunities for the PhD graduates to work in industry. Here I listed a long list of industrial research labs. There's far more number of them. Of course, I posted my own organization in this list. Originally, the PhDs are hired in a researcher role in these industrial research labs. But later on, if we look back into what happened in 2000, Google, Facebook, all these companies started actually hiring PhDs as software engineers. This actually comes from two sides. First, Many software systems nowadays actually require very advanced domain knowledge and analytical skills to fulfill the required tasks. On the other hand, as I mentioned, like there's simply not enough job positions in academia and the industry research labs to host all these PhDs graduated each year. Okay. With this in mind, let me first briefly summarize about the activities in your research career. Indeed, there are two kinds of activities, but they are all measured by the third thing called impact. Okay. The first activity in your research career is actually your research. Okay. You need to continuously pursue your own research agenda. Okay. And once you fulfill certain part of your research work, you often publish the results as papers. Your paper is your channel to communicate with your colleagues in the research community about what you are doing and what you are contributing. People often say that publish or perish. Indeed, it's sadly true. If you don't publish anything in 10 years, or you stopped publishing, like you will be forgotten by your community. Okay. So of course, there are cases like you stopped publishing for 30 years, then all of a sudden you publish a shiny thing. That happens, but very rare. Okay. The second type of activities in your research career is your service to your research community. These activities including like organizing workshops and conferences, serving as reviewers, area chairs for conferences, serving as reviewers or associate editors for journals, and even higher organization roles. Okay. And in your research career, both type of activities are actually measured by eventually your impact to the community. Like or we can all view this impact from a community building perspective. That is, what changes your activities have brought to the community. These changes could be your advancement of knowledge through your research, and people and organization development through your service and your research and your mentorship. Okay. Both in your research career and your job career, perhaps there are different roles you could take. They are in a laddered structure because less and less people can get higher up in the ladder. For example, in conferences, you first start off your role as an author, start publishing something in the conference. Then gradually you become reviewers. Then if you do really well, you become area chairs. You are invited to be area chairs, which oversees reviewers and coordinate the reviewers' efforts to make decisions on papers. And then if you are passionate enough, you want to contribute more back to the community, you could consider organizing conferences by doing program chair and general chair roles. The same kind of ladder happens in journals and professional societies. Okay, so of course, like the more impact you induce in your research community during your research career, the higher status on the ladder you can be on. Similarly, in industry, your job career, nowadays you could have two different types of job career. Okay, many companies now allow you to be to focus on the technical side. That means you are an individual contributor, but you can continue grow, climb your career ladders on the technical side. For example, if you're a researcher in a company, you could become a senior, principal researcher, distinguished scientist, technical fellow, and even the chief technological officers. On the other hand, you can also grow yourself on the management side. That means you will become a manager, senior manager, director, senior director, and even like all the way to CEO, if you are lucky enough. Okay, that means you start people management. You are organizing a group of people to achieve the same goal. Okay, which is takes a different spectrum. Okay, so that's different ladders in your research career and your job career. I want to emphasize certain things in your job career. Okay, number one thing is that you are directly paid by your employer, by the company who hired you in a regular job, not the research community. Okay, so we all know that in the business world, a company naturally pursue like a more business impact. So in most of the companies, especially when you are growing senior roles, your promotion in your company is mostly tied with the business and the product impact your work produced, not the paper you publish. Okay. But that does not mean your impact in the research community have zero impact in your job career with your employer. Sometimes it does help. For example, if you get a best paper award and you helped your company to build a good reputation, those kind of things could factor back to your job career. Okay. But in the end of the day, I want to emphasize your promotion in your company are still on the business side. Okay. On the other hand, in your research career is tied with your research community. Okay. Almost all your work with the research community is voluntary. Okay. But of course, your status in your job career may get you additional resources to support your activities in your research community. Okay, for example, you could, if you are in higher management roles, you have budget, you could use them to sponsor conferences and even support university researches. And or you could also bring students to your organization for summer internship. So in summary, in my view, your research career and your job career are two parallel processes. They are not the same, but they are related. Okay. So you need to mostly focusing on your business and product impact in your job career. And in order to maintain a research career, you need to often take extra efforts because many of the things you may not be able to do it in your regular job time, okay, work time. They are largely parallel, but they could help each other. Okay, that means some of the things happens in the research in your research career could promote could give a boost to your job career. But again, the nature of you need to really understand the nature of the two different careers. Okay. Next, I'm going to briefly talk about the relation and difference between industry research and academic research. Okay, the statement I'm going to make upfront is that publishing a paper is often the start, not the end of an industrial research and development project. Okay. So in order to support my claims, I will first start off saying that research actually needs expenditure. That means research burns money. Okay. In academia, research expenditures are mostly funded by federal and state government through tax money. Okay. A small portion of this fund is through industry funds and personal donations. While in industry, research expenditures are funded by corporate profits. That means the money your company produced. And sometimes we also call it corporate tax. Okay. So they're coming from the profit of your company. Okay. So this actually brings a bridge between your research and job career. Okay, the bridge is actually you need to find a way to make your research to produce business impact. Okay, in academia setting, like publishing a paper often means the end of a research project, but in industry, publishing a paper often just means the start of a RD project. Okay, often the case, you need to make a lot of extra efforts to make the technologies into the products. Okay. We often also encounter a question like people would ask like the question, can industry actually support fundamental research? Many people think that industry is more doing applied research. In today's setting, I would not agree. I would say actually industry can also support fundamental research. Look into examples in DeepMind, okay? But the long-term success of supporting fundamental research in the industry setting is that there still needs to be an infrastructure where we can transform fundamental research into business. Okay, there is this cannot just come naturally. We need there's a lot of careful thinking needs to be made to enable such an infrastructure. I want to also emphasize that fundamental research does not equal to low results. Okay, in the industrial setting, that means you can focus on some fundamental research, but you better manage your research to produce sufficient intermediate results. That needs some smart thinking and carefully framing and planning your research project. I want to also mention, well, all this could happen. Like when the company is doing well, that means if the company is making a lot of money, but whenever the corporate finance is not so good, unfortunately, the research division is often the first to cut, which is a sad truth, okay? That mainly because research means expenditure, okay? So that's often something into mind. That's why I have been emphasized a lot, especially if you are in a leader position in a research organization. Perhaps it's your responsibility to really think about how to transform some of the greatest research your organization made to really impact the real business of your company, because that way you build a bridge and you can continue have financial support from the company, from your company to support your research organization, which shows your value, okay? But there are also relations between industry research and academic research from the people perspective, okay? So for any people who wanted to pursue a research career, I would say you need to really pick up an area and become the go-to person in your research community and or your company, okay? Because research is all about you become the number one in certain topics and in certain areas. And this also happens in a corporate setting. If you show your unique expertise, which solves the business problem of your company, you have a larger chance to have a sustained career, okay? And along the process, when you dig deep in one single area, I hope you also consider, and sometimes it naturally spurs that your knowledge become a T-structured knowledge. That means because a lot of the fundamental understanding of problems are share similar philosophy indeed. That way, in the process, you would naturally broaden your horizon and you build a T-structured knowledge, T-shaped knowledge structure with both depth and breadth in your knowledge. So, which would makes you be able to do more when you transform into a different setting or you need to change a project. Next, I want to emphasizing a point which many of the young researchers perhaps are not paying attention to. That is your home research community, because I'm a strong believer that your persistent growth in your research career is tied with your home research community. So I want to start off the discussion by answering what is a home research community. A home research community is where you publish mostly in conferences and journals associated with this community, okay? You regularly attend the flagship research conferences of the community. Your research is mainly consumed by people from this community. In summary, your research activities mainly engage with people from this community. So ask yourself, do you have a home research community? If you publish randomly in different conferences of different communities, especially in your early careers, that means you don't have a home research community, okay? I will give a more specific example. A home research community is often associated with a professional organization. For example, PAMI-TC is the ICCV professional organization of the computer vision community. That's why our people is centered around, like organized by PAMI-TC in a loose way, okay? So why do you need a home research community? There are several reasons. First of all, establishing a research reputation needs a continued interaction with the same group of people with common interest, okay? It cannot be done in 1 year. Most often it takes like multiple years of efforts in order for you to establish a reputation among the people who cares about your research, okay? And secondly, you can only build depth in your research if you put a significant amount of efforts long enough in one area, okay? There may be very smart people, like, but they are like very scarce, who can do multiple things, like dig deep in multiple areas simultaneously. But from my own experience, most of the highly successful researchers, they really focus on a single area for many, many years, okay? The third point is that I often joke that if you live long enough in one community, when your peer fade out, you become the expert, okay? This is just a half joke, but it tells that you need to be persistent in doing something and doing deep in it and doing great in it. Then you become the go-to person in your field, okay? So if you found that you haven't established your home research community, please consider establishing one now and start doing like things like this. Publish your work in your home community, okay? Avoid diluting yourself through publishing randomly, okay? Engage and contribute back to your home community by providing your service back to this community, provide a little bit more resource back to this community, and also engage with the young people in your home community and foster them to grow. That way, your home research community will go vibrantly and have a long and continued success. So many often, I also encountered questions from young researchers asking for advices about where they should go, for example, when they have multiple job offers. Here, I would summarize 3 elements of deciding where to go. That also applies where you go, where you want to go when you pick up your home research community, okay? So the 3 factors are, first, look at the group of people you're going to work with, you're going to engage with. Are they good? Answer this question. If they are good, okay, you pass the first bar, okay? Then second, look at the things they are doing. Do these things inspire you. Okay, the things could be the project, the group you are going to work with in a company, like the things could also be the research topics like pursued in the research community. You need to ask yourself, am I really interested in those things or those research topics? Okay. Thirdly, last but not least, look at what you may learn and gain if you go there. Okay, if you choose that job or if you pursue that home community, what you may learn and gain, including both on the skill set side and the other type of benefits, including financial benefits. Okay, so I would personally look into these three aspects when I make decisions. I hope this could also benefit you when you are making choices. Okay, so I will end my talk with a summary of 4 points. I hope these points will help you success in pursuing your own research careers and also your job careers. The first point I want to give here is you need to be persistent about your research career. Okay, it actually requires extra efforts. Okay, so second is that you need to understand how the system functions, both the system of your company and the system of the research community and any system you are going to work with. It helps you to grow and climb on the ladders. Okay. Third, think about how to make business impact, especially when you are pursuing an industry job. Okay, your research leads a path to produce real impact in industry. Okay, and last but not least, please establish a home research community and focus on what you work on and who you engage with. Okay, so that way, I hope everybody could have a successful research career in your own way. Remember, your research career is where you write your own story. Okay, with this, I would like to thank the organizers again for inviting me for this talk. I hope some of the things I talked about here today could be of use to you. Thank you very much. I would be happy to take any questions.